right, everybody, listen, the Swiss Army knife, it sounds really impressive, right? 27 tools in one. But real quick, name 5 of them. Right, exactly. Nobody ever remembers versatility. What they remember is rarity. Brad Holcman, he gets that. He's the Emmy-nominated executive producer behind shows like 60 Days In, Accused, Guilty, or Innocent, Triple Digit Flip, and Zombie House Flipping, and even Duck Dynasty. And those are shows that cut through the noise. They stick in your memory, and they become must-watch TV. Now he's bringing that same storytelling power to entrepreneurs and investors, teaching them how to build brands that stand out like a $2 bill in a stack of ones. So if your message is blending in with all of the white noise out there, you don't want to get ignored. You don't want to be forgotten. So buckle in, take notes, and learn from one of the sharpest brand builders in the game. Welcome to the Closers Club. Let's get into it. Brad, thank you so much, man, for being here. I really appreciate it. Big honor to have you on here. I'm a little nervous.
No. Thank you, David. And for your audience, if you're just tuning in for the first time, don't tune into me. Tune in for David. David is one of the most giving, caring entrepreneurs out there. He's always the first at the table and the last, and always helping so many people. We share a group together, and he is definitely the definition of a go-giver. So thank you. I appreciate you having me on your beautiful podcast.
That's too much of good things about me. Let's get right into it. I see so many entrepreneurs out there and really investors, right? They're just grinding out every day, but getting completely overlooked because they're trying to be everything to everybody. So this is really your specialty. What is the biggest mistake that you see when it comes to how people are either positioning themselves or their business? And how does this tie into that whole $2 bill concept?
Well, thank you. It's a good question. I find so many people trying to be, quote, the best at something. And what is that? What does even that mean? The best. But if you change the word best and now you're the, quote, the only one that does that, that's how you stick out in a sea of one. So I always have this $2 bill because the $2 bill it's currency, right? But of all of the currencies, of all the paper money in the US, 1, 5, 20, 100, this is the one that sticks out. So is this the best bill? No, right? The 100 is, right? In theory, the 100 is the best bill, but this bill is the only one that you remember. It's the only one that you hold on to. It's probably the only one that you have a story about. So for you, I believe everybody, just like a fingerprint, you're the only one that has that fingerprint. What about you, your process? What do you do differently than everybody else? There's a lot of people that do X. So to be the best at X is really going to be hard to find, but to be the only person that does X in your category and then really go down, I think that's how you separate yourself in the sea of same.
Yeah, I think everybody, all of us, and I'll say this to wholesalers that I'm speaking to, like you're all amazing at something, but you're not amazing at everything, right? So what is that thing, right? What are you the $2 bill at? What is that thing that makes you special? And that thing because you have to love it, right? You have to really lean into that, whatever that attribute is or whatever that special thing is, I would think.
Yeah, and that's what we do with TV. So I'm still in television, and what we always do is, again, we don't look for the best. We look for the only, because that's what separates. So you have categories of television, right? And to speak probably mostly to the audience, that you have, the real estate genre basically has 3 categories on TV. We call it crappy to happy, which is a flipping show. We have another category. What every potential home buyer does is I look at 3 homes and buy one every time. That's not true. That's house hunters, and buying and selling. And then the other category is interior design. I have a bad bathroom. Somebody comes in and now I have a better bathroom. So those are the only really 3 categories. So can you bring in somebody and be the best at that category? No, but you could be the only one that does this. So when I look for talent and when I look for shows, especially in the real estate space, what's the only thing that somebody's doing? So I help create 60 Days In. So to evolve, there's a lot of shows in prisons and jails, a lot of shows in incarceration for years and years and years. But 60 Days In was the only one that looked at it from somebody that looked like you and I and undercover. And that's simply how it separated itself. It's literally as easy as that. And then once you have that ingredient that is the only, then the equation, the meal that you make is completely different than everything else. But if you have a prison show in the same prison environment with the format you've seen, then what's the output going to be? The output's going to be the same.
Right. So what are some of those things that you would look at before you go like, this is the show that I want to produce and get green lit and all of that? Like, so what are some of those specific kind of attributes or traits that really stand out for you?
My joke is if I have to create a show, then
Mhm.
there is not a show. The
Mm.
ingredients tend to
Okay.
be already there. You just haven't had a chef make it. So, what I look for is organicness and something that I don't have to put together. So, if I go in and go,
Right.
wait a minute, your mother, you retired your mother, wait a minute, your brothers work
Mhm.
for you, wait a minute, you have
Yeah.
been walking properties before you walked, you know. And by the way, none of which I just said what the show was, but it's those ingredients. So
Right.
it's going to be really what connects you to at home. It's also the brand of television I like is relatable and attainable. So what that means
Yeah.
is you sometimes you watch a show and you lean back and you're like, oh, it's Game of Thrones, right? It's a very entertaining show that I watch. In unscripted television, you
Mhm.
don't want to be that. You want to be in
Yeah.
the show itself. You want to be like, oh, if that person can do it, I can do that. And that's the attainable part of
Yes.
it. So the relatability is, oh, I
Mm.
have a friend, I have a mother, I have a family. What would it be like for me to work with them? And the attainable was, oh, they're
Mhm.
not flipping billion-dollar homes. They're flipping homes that are down the
Yeah.
street from me that I pass by
Right
every
down the
day.
street.
And that's what I look at
Right.
specifically in the real estate space. The other spaces,
Yeah.
I believe one of the things that I love, what content, conversation, people have in them is emotion, right? It's how you react. If people remember the Maya Angelou quote, they may not remember what you say, but
Mhm.
they will remember how you make them feel. And if a show makes
Right.
somebody feel something, either want to act, cry, just like if you watch the morning news, there's a lot of emotional moments that aren't news at all, but it pulls the
Mhm.
audience. They do it
Really?
purposely. It's psychology because then you're like, oh, I felt something. I'm going to come back the next day. So I look for shows
Yeah.
for people, for opportunities that make you feel something, and then through the magic of
Uh-huh.
Hollywood and storytelling, through music, through edit, through cuts, we hopefully make you even feel
Mhm.
something more. So um, there's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways to get to the end product. But what I have
Mhm.
found is when I work and I have to put something together, it's probably not a television show. It's already something that exists already. And maybe they didn't see it, but I saw it.
Yeah. So it's just you kind of crafting that the story that's already there. I love that idea that, with the house flipping shows. Crap. What'd you say? Crappy to snappy. What was it?
Crappy to happy.
Crappy to happy. Yeah, that it's like the house down the road and making somebody, not making somebody, but having somebody feel like, oh, I could do that too. Right.
Yeah.
And I guess showing some of the mishaps and the wins and all of those things. And I love because I've obviously seen a bunch of your shows that it's far more real than some of the other ones that are out there that seem a little make believe,
Yeah, well,
in showing
so
our business.
I will say there is a type of television for everybody and a type of
Yeah,
television for every producer. So
sure.
we, as real estate investors, we look at it through a different
Yeah,
lens than Bobby in Topeka, Kansas, that's being entertained. So who,
right.
just like a business, who's my ideal customer avatar? Who's my dream customer of the show? It depends on the network. It
Yeah.
depends on
Mm,
the people in front of the camera, what their role is, what their job is, what their experience is, what is
mm,
the purpose of the show? So a lot of those factors that go into it. For
mm.
me, when I
Yeah.
put my name on a show, I want my show to
Mhm,
be as authentic and real as possible. That has been my entire career,
mhm,
and that's what I want to put forward. Is that right
mm.
or wrong versus somebody else? Absolutely
Yeah,
not, because I don't
yeah,
think the other people are telling you all of this is completely fake, but I'm telling you it's real. I think that's our how we
yeah.
consume it. For me, one of
Mhm.
my lines very early on in my career was, "I want to put the real in reality, put the real back into reality."
Yes.
And I even said to real estate, I want to put the real back into real estate as well. Specifically
Mhm,
real estate. Why? Because I believe, and I'm a newish person into the world of real estate only because of
mhm.
television. It
Yeah.
is it's the only genre or category of business that I think that anybody and their mother can do today, no matter how much is in
Yes.
your checking
Yeah,
account,
yeah.
whatever you've been handed in life, where you're there is you can be successful in real estate if
Yes.
you do the work.
Right.
And that's where my shows, I don't believe shows have done that in
Hmm.
television. And
Right.
for me, what I want to bring you, just like the Polites, Crystal and Dedrick Polite,
Yes.
their story, they're not so far along than anybody else. What Dolmar and Keisha
Hmm.
Cross bring to the table, what James Daner
Yeah.
brings to the table, what all the people that I've been so blessed to put out in front of the camera, they're
Hmm.
people that are not so far from any of us.
Right.
And that's what I want somebody just to go and watch a frame of the show and go, oh,
Mhm.
wait, the life that I'm not happy with can be completely
Mm.
gone. I could,
Yeah.
and what do we do in real estate? The more that we help, the more that comes back to us. Like, what a beautiful thing,
100%.
So
Yeah.
that's
Really. Good. I'm sorry.
that's why I've been so passionate about this
Yeah.
space and bringing it out there and
Uh,
helping other people that are on the ride, either established entrepreneurs in the real estate space
mm,
that need to get their message out, simply because I want more people to hear about this space, because I
right.
believe that everybody can be helped as a result of real estate, from the person, the investor on the one side to,
Right.
and I'm literally closing on one of my flips. This is the most amazing story. In a couple of weeks, one of the
Yeah.
flips that I have, you can't write this. A 71-year-old
Mm.
widow
Yeah.
is buying the first home she's ever been able to
Really?
afford or build, and it's my home.
Wow.
And
Usually when you hear that 71, it's the person selling, but her buying, that's
she is
amazing.
buying it. She walked in and she said, "This is my home. It's in a beautiful city, beautiful town. The price point is half of the median price, because that's the genre of real estate I'm
Mhm.
in."
Mhm.
And she is using an FTA loan. She's bringing very little money to the table.
Love it.
I buy low and sell low because
Mhm.
I want the appraisal to be high, so that so if you do get a certain loan product where you put 0%
Mhm.
down, you're not
Yeah.
underwater,
Right.
because the appraisal was high, so you're walking into equity. And then I do all that because I bought right and I renovated right, so I
Yeah.
can sell right. I don't need to
That's
make
awesome.
$1 billion.
Right.
And for me, what's so beautiful about real estate and what I like to showcase on television are those stories. I did that with
Yeah.
intervention for 12 years.
Mhm.
Addiction is something that is a plague that still doesn't get talked about it as much as possible. And the
Yeah.
goal of that show is for you to see the depths of addiction, and that
Mhm.
even literally you are knocking on death's door, there is hope for someone. And
Yeah.
on that show, we have saved more lives than I can even imagine,
It's
as a
amazing.
result of us going in there and being real,
Yeah.
and showcasing the realities of addiction. And I can't
Mhm.
even imagine how many more people we've helped save their lives just
Right.
by watching and
Watching it.
producing that show.
Yeah, and that's important. That's what we do as real estate investors. That's our talent. Yes, we make a bunch of money, but our job, right? Our responsibility is to go out there and help people, right? Somebody who's losing sleep tonight, right, over this property, whatever it is, right? Because there's a tree on the roof, or they inherited it, or they moved, or whatever it is. Like, what are the things that we know that we can bring to the table here to try to help them? And yeah, real estate, it's the greatest vehicle there is, right? Rich, poor, black, white, skinny, purple, like whatever your deal is, tall, short, fat, whatever it is, everybody can get into this business, and there are so many different entry points, and you absolutely can literally start with no money but a blank piece of paper and a pen, and go contract a property and flip that to somebody else, and then grow that into a business that ends with apartment complexes if you want. So I think that you're absolutely right, and that it is amazing. It's given me a life that I frankly don't deserve most days. So I'm a big proponent of trying to get as many people in as I can.
And I would say, just going back to branding too, and putting yourself out there,
Mhm.
instead of, again, I really like to look at the best and only angle.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
you can't be the best in real estate. You can't.
Right.
I mean, you
No.
can't by virtue of how much fish is in the sea,
Right.
but you can be the only person that does that. When you look at
Yeah.
certainly the faces of real estate, you can pretty much target certain individuals as
Mhm.
the only. And maybe when I say only, maybe there's three or four people, but when you have an ocean full of fish, it's
Mhm.
okay for three or four people to be only. The
Yeah.
great thing about real estate, you only have to be good at one thing. Like,
Right.
if you be good at one thing, one,
Mhm.
you're going to help a tremendous amount of people. And two, isn't it just much easier to be good at
Yeah.
one thing, to be good at many? And if you're
Yeah.
the only person that does this, and the line of riches, the niches get the riches, it's so
Right.
true in almost every business, specifically in real estate too. So be the only one in this niche.
Mhm.
You will have people run to you. You also, when we talk about money, that's a premium. it's a
Right.
premium price. And I think Hormozy kind of walks it down, the ladder of like charging $19 to 19.97,
Mhm.
literally the same product. But when you niche it down, you're speaking to a more energized and an audience that's going to listen. So when I
Yeah.
look at people's brands, I'm like, what is the only, I talk about people's best friends a lot. If I asked your best friend what you did,
Hmm.
what would they say? Would it be broad
Yeah.
and I invest in real estate, or would it be they serve blah, blah, be very specific?
Right.
And you want what your message to be so crystal clear and so simple that the
Mhm.
only message, even your best friend who doesn't do anything or hasn't been involved in your business, can tell
Mhm.
somebody what you do. And I think we look at sports. Some people, sport athletes, sometimes they're the only. I'm really good at hitting home runs. I'm
Yeah.
really good at striking people out. I have the best fast, or one of the only fastballs that do the same thing everywhere. We get because we have access to information
Yeah.
more so than we've ever had, and AI is even more so than we ever had. Shiny
Mhm.
object syndrome is so real among
Right.
entrepreneurs and business owners. Get rid of all of that. And
Mhm.
if you spend all the time just doom searching, not scrolling, doom searching on ChatGPT
Yeah.
because you're trying to find the next best thing, and
Yeah.
instead you literally just went down the rabbit hole of one small thing, it would
Mhm.
be amazing how farther you would get.
Yeah.
So again, only is much better, I think, and especially nowadays than best.
I love that. Yeah, because people try to do just too much. They're trying to do everything instead of just the one thing that they are amazing at. Um, Clearly, you and I could sit here and talk about TV all day long because we did it 2 weeks ago and never even went live. But I do want to really hone in on your $2 bill strategy. I think
Yes.
it's absolutely amazing. But how do we apply that? A lot of our listeners or people who are watching this are going to be either like maybe in some type of investor or wholesaler, or maybe even a real estate coach. So how do we apply that strategy to what they're doing so that they can, obviously I'm going to post here in a minute how people can get a hold of you, but
Yeah.
how do they apply that to their business? What are some of those overarching kind of themes?
I think the one thing, a $2 bill is always memorable. It's
Yeah.
it's very much memorable. So what about you that causes somebody when you leave the room to keep talking about you?
Hmm.
Is it a line? Is it a strategy? Is it a category that you own? Is it a story that you told?
Yeah.
What's your elevator pitch? What's your forward
Mhm.
LinkedIn? So it's something that we can help with, and I can help with, and so that you are the blank, blah 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 blank. And I think it's really important. Again, it goes back to the only, but it's got to be super simple and clear. I think most people, when you ask somebody what do they do,
Mhm.
99.9% do not have a response to that.
Yeah.
And if you say you're a real estate professional, okay, that is broad. That's everyone. That's
Mhm.
not, but if it's, I renovate homes just outside of Charlotte, specifically where I buy low and I sell low because I want to bring
Like
first
that.
time home buyers into a
Yes.
market through a designer that designs $1 million homes. Or
Mhm.
by the way, that's just yeah, making it, but you want to be as specific
Yeah.
as possible. I could say I flip homes, right?
Mhm.
But it's what you do and what are you really good at, and the only one that does that in your market, and develop that.
Mhm.
But you need to be as clear and concise so that when people leave the room, they're talking about it. I think
Yeah.
that's really important. The other thing is, um, I think the one thing that the $2 bill does, just like it leaves the room, there's always a story behind it. So, what is your story behind what you do? What is that anecdote? And keep talking about it over and over and over again. And this is a little bit evolving from $2 bill. I think most people, they do not start; they wait till they're ready. You
Yeah.
will never be ready if you wait.
Yes.
So I get it from a lot of people. We talk about taking imperfect action,
Yes.
and be messy, be
Right.
ugly. What people like to do is see the
Yeah.
journey. The best part of unscripted television. And I was just on set a couple of weeks ago, and there's beats that we want to hit, but the gold was after cut, after we hit cut. And when we
Yeah.
say cut, we keep rolling
That's
because
really
that's when people like
they're
take a
real.
minute, but that's where the real gold is. So
Mhm.
when you put yourself out there, do
Yeah.
not edit, do not produce, Right now, I've produced over $1 billion of content in my career. I have an $80 camera. I have a $70 microphone,
Yeah.
and I just put stuff out there. My gold, my worth is my words.
Right.
My words don't cost anything, right? It's pen to
Mhm.
paper,
Right.
and that's what you need to be putting out there. So for me, nobody knows about a $2 bill if you don't present it and if you don't have a story behind it. So keep
Mhm.
talking, keep putting yourselves out there,
Yeah.
and not enough people do. And if you're afraid of putting yourself out there, nobody cares about you.
Nobody
Nobody
does.
cares.
They got their own
They
issues. Yeah.
they don't, and if they do, guess what? Who cares? Are
Yeah.
they paying your bills?
Yeah.
Are they making your dreams come true? Well, the ones that are, they're the ones that you're gonna be attracted to because you're putting yourself out there. Because like be
Yeah.
like, oh my
Attracts
God,
like.
yes. Um, so you want to keep, most people, they just don't. And by the way, I'm victim of that. A
Mhm.
lot of people have had the golden handcuffs too of a W-2 career. You can't really talk about yourself. You can't do things,
Yeah.
but you can. Maybe it's just a different medium. What you can't do is compete against your own job or
Sure.
do other things and not be transparent about what you do. But you can certainly establish yourself as somebody that who helps people, that's there for people, and be
Mhm.
that person and be that memorable person, and
Yeah.
that has the best stories, the one person that you can talk to, even if that friend that they may not know anything about what you're talking to, but they have two ears that are going to listen to you. Then
Yeah.
be that person, and that for me is what being the $2 bill, being memorable, being unforgettable, being
Yeah.
the only one that will do the
Mhm.
things that you are capable of doing.
Yeah, and it's so important to just get started. I remember over 10 years ago, a very good friend of mine, he became the first social media marketer at the University of Tennessee, and he was in the small mastermind. He's like, "David, you got to be out there recording yourself at all these houses you're walking through." And I'm like, Ryan, I have a face for radio. I don't want to be on on Instagram or Facebook or doing all these videos. It's just not for me. But it's so important to, like, exactly
So
like you said, tell people what you're doing, and be the real estate guy, and that will attract people to you. That's absolutely important. So you talk about being very, very specific and turning that into like this universal appeal. But how does going like that so niche make somebody more magnetic? Does it like push more people away? Because I think that's going to be the fear, right? If I only talk about doing this very specific type of deal, am I alienating all of the rest of the people out there? I think that's a
um,
big concern for people in business.
yeah, the answer is yes. But
Okay.
But think about it. You are
Yeah.
literally one conversation, one relationship away from your life being changed. So
Right.
we by virtue of being American, we like to be gluttonous. We like to have
Mhm.
lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's not how you get wealthy. That's not how
Mhm.
you get everything. It's to start small and to start specific, so that
Got
you're
it.
speaking to the person that needs to be spoken to versus everyone. I think
Mhm.
what we do is, like, if I'm doing something very specific and somebody goes, I can solve your specific need, you will back up the truck, for that. You will do that. And
Mhm.
then from you as a entrepreneur, that's when you put your reps in too, because you're not doing it on the big stage. You're doing it on a small stage. So it's
Mhm.
okay to mess up, and you're learning and you're evolving. And
Yeah.
then your tree starts to grow, the branches start to branch out, and then you start to get broad. But I think if one of the biggest myths, that people have kind of preached about is multiple streams of income. But I think if
Yes.
you talk to any entrepreneur, they started with one, and they were
Right.
really good at that one. And once that one blossomed, then they added a branch, and then they added a branch, and then they added a branch. And I think that's the same thing with who you are and what you are. Again,
Yes.
be the only thing in one thing. Yes, you are going to push a lot of people away,
Mhm.
but if you keep talking about it and you keep putting yourselves out there, they're still going to be listening. What they're
Right.
not going to do is probably convert to a customer at that point. But you're
Mhm.
now building up your runway. You're building up your brand. A
Right.
lot of people find television shows in seasons 8, 9, 12, 14, may not even heard about it or watched about it, but there was something. So if you, again,
Mhm.
it's the junk mail thing. It's
Right.
you keep getting it. You're probably not ready for that specific treatment in your lawn when you get that mail. But maybe
Yeah.
5 years from now, well, wait, I've heard about this for 5 years. I've seen this.
Hmm.
Whatever company it is. Okay,
Yeah.
now for the first time, I have that pesticide problem in my grass. I'm going to call them. So that's the same thing.
Right.
So if you look at everybody like a transaction, you're never going to win. You got to look at everything as a potential relationship. How can
Mhm.
I keep building my brand, who I'm out, so that I'm building relationships with my audience. They may not be ready to be friends with me at this point, but they're gonna know me. They're gonna know who I am. So it's less about converting every single person on the other side, and it's more about converting the right person that can advance your brand further, so that eventually you can broaden out and be that expert in whatever category they're in. But again, it's far better and distinct, and your message will cut through if you're the only one versus the best of, or
Yeah.
think broadly.
So when you see people, adopting the idea of the $2 bill concept, like, are there any mistakes where maybe they go too far, or anything that you see where you have to be like, and we'll talk about what you do, with your company, but where you've got to like kind of pull them back or guide them just a little bit, where, are there any common mistakes that people are making like that?
We first go through an exercise of really identifying who your dream customer is and your ideal
Gotcha.
customer is. So we're
Yeah.
very, very focused on who. So it may not be something that I particularly understand at that point, but if
Mhm.
it matches who their ideal customer is, that's great.
Okay.
Not everybody in your elevator pitch has to 100% understand what you are, who you are. It
I think
doesn't.
that's important. I think because people think elevator pitch, they're like, I'm gonna get everybody, right? I'm gonna suck them all in.
Why? I
Yeah.
mean, that again, the one thing that I have learned as an entrepreneur, I joke about this. My
Mhm.
friends are Pace Morby and Jamil Damji, and
Yeah.
they essentially have similar audiences, similar products, similar worlds. They're best friends, and what they believe in is if they went in a fishing boat and fished separately,
Mhm.
they would gather and catch less fish if they were in the same boat and caught fish together. And I
Mhm.
really do think that that's the case here. Is we don't need all the fish in the sea, but we
Yeah.
need to be the one that people turn to and that wants to fish with us and help us. So for me, again, I think we want everybody to like us. We want
Mhm.
everybody to be friends with us. We want
Yeah.
everybody to be our customer. The reality is that's never going to happen. There's not a single
Mhm.
brand on this planet that everybody goes to, but there are
Right.
some brands that you kind of want to, and maybe I'll get there someday.
Right.
Think about car brands. Car
Mhm.
brands, there's certainly level of car brands,
Right.
but it's the one that's right for you. Does everybody want
Mhm.
a Tesla? Does everybody want a Maserati? Does everybody
Yeah.
want a Jaguar? No, no. But there's certain categories and brands, and I think the mistake is, people just need to know really who they are, what their customer is at that standpoint, and be very
Mhm.
specific, and not be afraid that when they're talking about their brand to somebody, not for me, not for me. That's okay. In fact,
Mm.
if they say not for me, and you know that you're very specific on who you are and what separates yourself from everybody, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a
That's
pretty
true.
good thing, because
Yeah.
you certainly don't want to sell something to the wrong person, and they
Mhm.
maybe just say yes because it may be right for me, and then they don't have that testimonial. Maybe they've had a bad experience, and then not because it's a bad product, but because
Right.
it wasn't a right fit, because
Mhm.
you weren't clear about what your message was and who you are and what you are, because you were just catching lots of fish
Yeah.
versus the right type of fish that you wanted to serve on that plate that day.
Right. I feel like we went through this little phase, and hopefully it's over, but the last couple of years, especially in the real estate industry, where it was like anger influencers. Like, it was like the rah, just like the yelling and the screaming. And I don't know if it's an act and they're being contrarian, or maybe they lean so much into politics, which I stay as far away from as I can. I don't politics and religions, two things that I don't really want to talk about. But where do you think that plays in building a brand, and the people who, it's just, I don't want to call anybody out, but the workout bros, like, if you're not working out at 4 a.m., you're not going to be successful. Like, they just take such a hard stance, and maybe they believe that, maybe they don't. But I mean, is that good for your brand, or, I don't really know.
I'm going to go back to what I said.
Yeah.
Who's your ideal customer?
Yeah, I guess
I
so.
look at so many of these people and go,
Mhm.
not in a million years would I
Yeah.
ever be that person's customer. But
Right.
then you look at there's millions of people that they're customers.
True.
So I okay, so one, whatever you want, like, because a lot of people say, I don't bring in politics whatsoever because I
Yeah.
do not want to alienate anybody.
Right.
That's me. I
Yeah.
have I don't care about you will never see a word about politics from me. Do I have strong beliefs?
Sure.
Not as strong to elicit to a broad
Yeah.
worldwide
Right.
audience.
Right.
I'm not that kind of person. I believe in equality. I believe in certain things, but I don't. I also control what I can control, which is
That's it.
around me, my family, my friends, my
Yeah.
city, my schools, my business, the people I choose to be in business with, all these
Right.
things. So I think, for one, but what I will tell you, you have to be authentic to yourself and your beliefs. What
Hmm.
I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is something catches and it's not who they are, but
Yeah.
the engagement goes up on social media. People start buying their product, and it's not who they are, but they knew how to convert somebody to a
Right.
sale. And
Right.
then all of a sudden they become this person who's not authentically them. And then
Yeah.
at some point that gas is going to empty.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. And then you're probably going to pivot because you're like, oh, I'm not that person. Or maybe the gas does run out and then you change and then you
Hmm.
change again. So then your audience is going, who are you? What are you? But if you are an angry person and if you yell, and there's people that I'm thinking about now, and that's
Yeah.
you from if your mom can say, yep, that's who he was at 3
That's
years
you.
old. So what one of my real estate company is called Dill Pickle Properties.
Love it.
Well, partially because I also believe, an ugly home is a cucumber because cucumbers are boring. That turns
Hmm.
into a pickle, and a pickle
Okay.
is a beautiful home. And there's nothing better than a pickle. That is not an opinion. That's a fact. You know, pickles are great. But also, why? It's
Yeah.
everything who I am. My first word was pickle.
Really.
My
That's not the
dog's
easiest of
name,
words.
no, my dog's name is Pickles.
Oh, love it.
My color is green.
Hmm.
Like if you can talk to all my friends and family, I would
Hmm.
come home and eat a jar of pickles, including the pickle juice.
Oh.
I play tennis, I drink pickle juice.
Mm.
Like so it's authentically who I am. But
Yeah.
also at the same time, it's not a bad real estate brand. It's kind of
Right.
fun. It's
Yeah.
it's my personality. It's who I am. So when
Hmm.
people, when you talk about the angry thing, when you talk whoever you are, it has to be authentically who you are. And I always joke, if
Hmm.
you asked that person's mother, does this represent who you brought up? And the
Hmm.
mother doesn't speak, but just laughs and smiles because there's no words. Go, uh-huh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly. So that for me is the most
Yeah.
important. So when I audit somebody and I could talk to somebody, I one of my
Hmm.
questions, and I audit people with a lot of. There's a bunch. I think there's 34
Hmm.
questions that I take people through. One of the questions is, if I called your mother right now and said for 5 minutes, talk to me about everything you are from your mother's perspective. Does
Yeah.
that match the brand that you want to be at right now? Does that match the personality, the emotion, who you want to be
Yeah.
buying from your company? There's got to be a match
Mhm.
there. Yes, people can change and evolve totally, but boy, things that you're born with, they're just that much better. Relationships that stem for 30 years are very different than relationships for 1 or 2 years. Same thing with personality, beliefs, all these things. Most beliefs were at you starting under the age of 10, and that's where we learn
Right.
from. Nobody learns to be an angry person. Or sorry, nobody is born as an angry person. Nobody's born as a
Right. Right.
comedian. It's a learned thing, but it's learned through your
Yeah.
upbringing. So that for me,
Right.
being authentic and also um, really, yeah, being authentic and being true to that and showing that messy middle.
Yeah. Cool. I love that. I know we've gone super far over, but you did
Yeah.
mention the audit. So give me just kind of a little rundown because we've got the link on the screen here, and we'll definitely put it in the show notes. So when somebody goes there and they signed up, like talk a little bit about like what is the $2 bill brand
Well, I'm
audit?
not going to
Real
pitch
kind
the
of
audit because
recap.
the audit is a higher.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. I'm going to give you a free product, and it's something that I
Okay.
developed that I thought was very important, and it's called the Vibe Finder. And the reason why I developed it
Okay.
was I have lots of learnings from my Hollywood experience. I've worked in Hollywood over 20 years,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
there's a way that I've been able to identify shows and develop shows and then have the output of shows that really are distinct and different. And I think that's what people need to start with. The audit
Hmm.
is a much bigger product. The first the
Oh, I got you.
first phase of this is this Vibe Finder, and it's a custom GP that I created that's on the heels of all my learnings, all my background, and it literally asks you 4 questions. And I think 4 questions are all you need to get started on the journey. And it really is it's 4 questions that are vibe. Vibe is your voice, your
Mhm.
identity, your belief, and emotional magnetism. And emotional magnetism,
Oh, it actually
it
means
really
vibe. I
does.
love that.
And it's all things voice, what's the one word that describes how you show up when you're most yourself? Your identity,
Yeah.
what's an experience that shaped everything that you've thought of, your belief, like what's the one thing that you would die for your clients, your cause, your community, like just that the biggest passion. And then emotional magnetism. I think that's the most important. How do people feel after spending time with you? When you leave the room, what are people talking about you? And I think that that's the ingredients that helps you identify what makes you distinct. And then what the output of this is, and it's literally it's done in 4 or 5 minutes, and you get this little beautiful
Yeah.
email with that's something you can post. It's that one sentence that many times you can take into any room, and it answers the
Mhm.
question, "Who are you?" And it starts the process.
Yeah.
And under that, then all my other information, it will lead to this audit, the audit as well. That's one-on-one time with me. It's been fantastic. It's been I had a just recently a Christian mother that wanted to provide services for stay-at-home. Sorry, homeschool mothers and
Mhm.
working moms because she was both.
Yeah.
And she wanted to teach, and she's 65 years old. She wanted to teach 35-year-olds things that she wished she knew at 35 about being a working
Yeah.
mother and under the Christian faith. And we really identified her,
Mhm.
and we identified who are the influencers. We looked at her, what's different versus everybody else, and we took her through a whole brand building exercise. And I think I give 6 different deliverables and all these bonus deliverables depending on what you
Mm.
are, and it's great. That's the audit. That's the after. But the Vibe
Yeah.
Finder GPT, I'll give you the link.
Yeah, where do we
It's
find that?
oh my,
That
it. I wish it were easy,
yeah,
but it's $2 bill.
that's
It's
okay.
$2 billbrand.com.
Uh-huh. Right.
Vibe find oh god, I need to improve this. Vibe
That's okay.
Finder GPT landing.
Okay. You text that to me and I will make sure that we put it in the notes because I'm also going to take it and I'll post it today for
Or
everybody so that they can be taking
here's
it
the
as
one
well.
thing that I am getting help at is sales and marketing, building a business.
Yes.
This is all new to me. I've been
Yeah.
doing what I've been talking about forever under a W-2 job,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's funny. I've never been asked for payment or any like. This is what I love to do. I love to help people with. So the whole
Yeah.
understanding of how to build a business and is different. So
Mhm.
that the Vibe Finder is my gift because I love.
Mhm.
I think probably 1,000. I think I've seen it. It's like almost 1,000 people have taken it. I've seen so many people's messages that come out of it, and
Mhm.
the words that people say when they see it. The biggest one was, "I feel seen." And it's
Wow.
literally 4 questions. Um, and
Mhm.
it's really again. I wish I could take 100% credit.
Mhm.
ChatGPT and all that behind it takes most credit,
Yeah.
but it's a
Yeah.
really great thing to go on the journey. And if you want to know more, you'll have all the information on a way to get a hold of me because I just
Yeah.
love talking to people and helping people become distinct and different in their marketplace. And being again, this $2 bill is really fun, and it's a lot more fun to be
Weird.
this than it is to be
Yeah.
a 1 or a 5.
Absolutely. Okay,
Yeah,
last question. If you're starting from scratch, you needed to rebuild your brand today. None of the Emmys or any of the accolades or network credits. What is the first move that you would make to stand out
I would
fast?
start talking. I would start talking to
Okay.
people, and I would start networking.
Yeah.
Anybody, and the talking is not about you, it's about them. So you're talking to people
Mm,
about what got them to where they are, what gets them excited,
yeah.
what do they stay up late for, what do they want to get up in the morning. You want to hear other people's stories because that's going to trigger something inside of you that you may not have
Mhm.
and think about. So for me, I think when most people, if you start over, you get laid off from a job, you get fired from a job,
Yeah.
what do we do? And the one thing we do is we kind of curl up in our bed and we have ice cream, and we're watching Netflix. Um,
I
I want you
understand.
to do the opposite. I want you to get out there and I want you to be honest. And in fact, the empathy people have for whatever situation, if you're falling over, people do want to help. People
Mhm.
don't realize that. Same thing with me.
That's
When
true.
I left, I was afraid. In entertainment, when you lose your seat at the table, or I voluntarily left my seat at the table,
Yeah.
you completely go invisible. And I was like, that's not going to happen to me. And what is the one thing,
Yeah.
what's the only thing that I could do as a former day-to-day television executive. What it was? Talk.
Mhm.
Literally talk. Nobody in entertainment talks. So I posted
Mhm.
every day, and I knew my friends were gonna be cringe. It was gonna be cringe for my friends for a while.
Yeah.
But now, a year into the
Mhm.
journey, all they do is they talk about the $2 bill brand. They talk about what you're doing. They're excited. And what do they say? I wish I could be doing what you're doing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's amazing. So if you had to start over, you need to talk to people, get excited about, and some, because you're going to learn about something that you didn't learn about before because you're not listening, because you're starting from zero. If you have zero inside
Mhm.
of you, I think it's so important to put yourself out there. And then also, if you do
Yeah.
land and hear something, it's not what can I do to help you, because now the burden is on the person. You need to say, can I do this for you? So that I think
Mm.
I get asked all the time, can I help you? Can I do that? And I'm like, well, now you just gave me more work. I don't want more work. If it's like, hey,
Right.
I'm sure that posting every day at 9 a.m. is a bit of a grind for you. What if you gave me all the assets and I posted on your behalf? Okay, well, you
Wow.
just gave me something I needed. Now you're getting
Yeah.
into my world. Do you think I'm not going to want to help you? Of course, I want to help you. I want to be in your world.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
probably stemmed from a question that you asked me, and I love asking these people. What is one thing that you do every day that you cannot stand doing? People will give
Right.
you that answer, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Wait a minute, I can help you with that, or I'll figure it out just to get
Yeah.
in that world." How many thought leaders and so many people have stories with people that were on big stages, big conferences, and they just came and helped, and they did the things that nobody wanted to do just to get in the room. One of the things in entertainment people talk about, when you're an agent, that's kind of the bottom level of entertainment, or being an assistant. You're in the mail room, so you're
Yeah.
sorting mail and you're giving people the mail. And the best piece of advice I ever got is, if you're in the mail room, read the mail. If you are in the room,
Mm.
ask the questions. Do the things nobody wants to do.
Yeah.
And that's how, and with nothing, that's the only place that you can be. If I have nothing, let me ask, what is the one thing that you cannot stand doing today? And I'm going to help you with that. You'll take
Love
that
it.
call every day. You'll take that help every single day.
Right. Brad, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that we've gotten to know each other and become friends. Thank you for everything that you've done, just for everybody, but mainly, for coming into our industry and kind of bringing that perspective that we oftentimes overlook and don't understand. So thank you so much for doing that and for coming on today. I can't wait to talk to you again because I'm sure there's so much more stuff we could do.